continue in Panama over the high cost of living, while President Laurentino Cortizo arrived in the province where the single table of dialogue is being held. Peruvian Prosecutor's Office announced a new investigation against President Pedro Castillo. And in India, leader Dropuadi Murmu becomes the first woman of tribal origin to become president of the country. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Panama, protests continue against the high cost of living led by various social sectors of the country. On Thursday, a group of citizens accompanied by social movement demonstrated in front of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. There have also been roads closure, one of them in front of the University Santa Maria la Antigua. The demonstrations turned violent in some areas after the repressive actions of police authorities. Meanwhile, in the town of Coclet, a single table of dialogue between the organizations leading the indefinite strike and the government is advancing. President Laurentino Cortizo announced the repeal of Law 122 and 314 related to tourism activities, efforts to the press prior to his participation in the single dialogue table. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said his country will not know how to respond to the consultation on energy request by the United States in relation to the TMEC trade agreement. The Mexican head of state said he has hinted that the first phase in the consultation have to do with the best interests of those who supposedly feel the Mexican energy policy have been affected. López Obrador also said that these maneuvers could have a political overtone, seen in his recent visit to Washington. The issue was not on the agenda. On Wednesday, the White House legal representative for the TMEC announced the request to check if Mexico's energy policy violates the North American trade agreement. However, the Mexican president detailed that he had held meetings with 19 foreign companies in the energy sectors and have reached agreements with 17 of them.
Entonces, ¿qué se alega?
So what are they claiming?
Tenemos muchísimos elementos para
We have many elements to respond.
Y si se trata
And if it is a political sanction, we will also defend ourselves.
Porque puede ser. Yo tengo
I have indications that this has to do with the vested interests of those who feel affected because they dedicated themselves to looting Mexico. And since they were stopped, they began to do their work in the United States.
The Mexican president pointed out that a call for constitutions by the United States and Canada could be politically motivated.
I sense that this is a political issue. I was in Washington, and that subject was not discussed. We met with businessmen, and the subject was not discussed.
No se trató el tema.
On the contrary, U.S. businessmen made a commitment to invest $40 billion in the energy sector. We have already signed agreements, treaties, and all of a sudden this.
In Cuba, the inaugural session of the 90th sessions of National Assembly of People's Power took place at the Convention Palace in Havana. with the participation of President Miguel Diaz-Canel, Prime Minister Manuel Moreto, Vice President Salvador Valdez, and other government leaders. The parliamentary session will analyze an agenda containing reports on the progress of the economy up to June 30 of this year and the allocation of the state budget corresponding to 2021. Senior government officials will offer management balance during the legislative activity. The Workers' Party of Brazil will hold its national convention this Thursday to officially introduce their presidential candidate, former President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva. According to the Workers' Party, Lula will not attend the event, for he was previously arranged political engagement in the state of Pernambuco, so his running mate, Geraldo Alckmin, will be representing him. Local media said that Lula referred not to disturb his campaign agenda for strategic purposes. In keeping with his political agenda for the interior of the country, former President Lula da Silva met on Thursday with the cultural representative of Pernambuco in the town of Recife. The meeting takes place at the Teatro do Parque in the neighborhood of Boa Vista. The event in Recife takes place the day after his agenda in the interior of the country, where he visited a replica of the house where he was born. People linked to Pernambuco's cultural cycle participate in the meeting. According to the schedule planned by the Workers' Party, Lula da Silva will meet in the afternoon with political allies and sympathizers at Olinda's Classic Hall. On Thursday, the 60th Summit of Mercosur Presidents and Associated States is being held in Paraguay. The Paraguayan President Mario Abdo Benitez, in his capacities as President pro tempore of Mercosur, will open the event. Afterwards, the Foreign Minister Julio Arriola will give a report on the country's period of the head of the bloc. During the meeting, the presidents of the Mercosur member states and of the states associated to the bloc will speak. Bolivia will also participate, and the representative of the Development Bank of Latin America will speak. The president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, will not attend the meeting. The ceremony for the formal transfer of the pro tempore presidency from Paraguay to Uruguay will take place. After this event, the Uruguayan President Luis Lacalle Pou is expected to speak too. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. In Peru, the Public Prosecutor's Office announced the opening of a new investigation against President Pedro Castillo for the alleged corruption. According to Attorney General Patricia Benavides, this is the third investigation against the head of state for alleged crimes against the administration of justice and personal cover-up. Meanwhile, the former Minister of Interior, Mariano Gonzalez, alleged that the head of state was seeking to obstruct justice, while assuring that the removal from his post was due to his rejection to the initiative to create special teams of the National Police to help the Prosecutor's Office in these investigations regarding the alleged corruption of officials and former state officials. In the U.S., President Joe Biden tests positive for COVID-19, the White House said. Biden, 79, has very mild symptoms and is taking Paxlovid, the White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement. Biden's symptoms started on Wednesday evening, according to the physician to the president, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, and he then tested positive in the morning as part of a routine testing. Jean-Pierre said in an update will be provided every day as Biden continues to carry out the full duties of the office while in isolation at the White House. In Italy, the President of the Republic, Sergio Mattarella, on Thursday dissolved the parliament and called for new elections. The president points out that the decision comes after the coalition of national unity decided to end support to the government led by the economist Mario Draghi. Mattarella said that he signed the decree to dissolve the chambers in order to call new elections within 70 days at the latest and solve the political crisis in the country is going through. The president thanked Draghi and his minister for the work carried out during the last 18 months of governments and recalled that the economy situation does not allow passes.
The political situation led to this decision. The discussion, the vote, and the way this vote was expressed yesterday in the Senate made clear that lack of parliamentary support for the government and the lack of prospects for creating a new majority. This condition has made inevitable the early dissolution of the chambers.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with his Hungarian counterpart President Castillo in Moscow on Thursday to discuss energy security. The top diplomats gathered in the Russian capital to discuss a wide range of bilateral issues, from energy and industry to healthcare, food and space exploration. Erdogan stated before he arrived in Moscow that one of the main purposes of his visit was to deal with Foreign Minister Lavrov possible ways to increase energy supplies to Hungary. Lavrov, for his part, said that both the nations were increasing economic cooperation despite Western sanctions because of Russia's special military operation in Ukraine.
Сотрудничества, о которых договорились наши руководители, президенты и премьер-министр, и которые...
Russia is blackmailing us. Russia is using energy as a weapon. And therefore, in any case, whether it is a partial, major, or total cutoff of Russian gas, Europe has to be prepared.
We have more news coming up after the final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Dropuadi Murmu is elected India's 15th president, the second woman to hold the country's highest office. Dropuadi Murmu from the marginalized Sandan tribe won the backing of more than half of the MPs, according to partial results related by the Elections Commission. At 64, Murmu becomes the first female president hailing from a tribal background and India's second female president after the Pratibha Patil, who held the post for 5 years, starting in 2007, born in Mayarborin district in the eastern state of Odisha. The president-elect began her career as a school teacher before joining politics. She held a ministerial posting in the state government and was governor of the neighboring state of Jharkhand. But the post is largely ceremonial, and her election is not expected to make a partial difference to the tribal community, which has long been relegated of the margins of the society. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, Rwanda, concluded a meeting facilitated by Angola at the head of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region. As announced by the House of Foreign Minister, the bilateral mixed commission will conclude its deliberations on Thursday afternoon and at the headquarters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The talks responded to the orientations of a recent tripartite summit held in Luanda, where the cessation of lingers actions between both countries. At the end of the summit, the dignitaries declared to the press that the results were positive and emphasized the decision to secure an immediate ceasefire at the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the withdrawal of the armed group March 23rd movement from the position occupied in the territory of that country. The Moroccan Association for Human Rights released a report pointing the death toll from last month attained by hundreds of people to cross the border between the North African Kingdom and the Spanish enclave of Melilla higher than official government tally. The human rights group said that at least 27 people, mostly from Sudan, South Sudan, and Chad, died in the attempt, with the number likely to rise in many more suffering severe injuries, and 64 people remains missing. The Moroccan government has previously reported 23 deaths in the June 24 border crossing. The association concluded that Moroccans and Spanish authorities used smoke bombs and tear gas to disperse the asylum seekers who had gathered at the Barrio Chino crossing area, which separates the Moroccan city of Nardo from Melilla, leading to many dying of asphyxiation.
Other violation is the cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment of human dignity that we notice in the videos released on social media of those events from June 26, which is the beating of the injured by Moroccan security forces. There is also another violation, which is the rapid deportation practiced by Spanish authorities. 100 asylum seekers crossed the fence, but the Spanish authorities returned them. The Spanish authorities saw the violence that was practiced on the migrants by the Moroccan authorities, although it put them in danger when they handed them over to the Moroccan authorities.
Indonesia's National Search and Rescue Agency reported Thursday that at least 9 bodies have been found after a ferry set off the coast due to the bad weather. The KM Keshav Arafah capsized water of Indonesia's Tenerife Island on Monday evening, prompting a search and rescue operation for 13 missing people. The Tenerife Search and Rescue Agency said in a statement that rescuers found 4 bodies on Wednesday evening and 5 bodies on the 4th day of the rescue. 4 people remain missing, and the boat was carrying 77 passengers and crew on board as it is traveled to nearby Halmahera Island. In Pakistan, the death toll has risen to 282 victims as a result of the monsoon rains during the last few weeks. The authorities of the Asian country also announced that since June 14th, at least 5,600 houses were damaged and thousands of roads and bridges were affected. They also reported that most of the damage and casualties were recorded in the southwestern province of Balochistan, as well as in the northwest on the border with Afghanistan. The eastern province of Punjab also reports severe damage. Every year, many cities in Pakistan struggle to cope with the annual monsoon deluge, prompting criticisms of poor planning by the authorities. teleSUR English continues to grow. Its signal now reaches Europe, and you can order it from your cable dealer or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on the screen are in place since July 1st, and quite soon, further changes will be implemented for the signal in the Middle East and Africa. Now, more than ever, the world connects to us, and our stories are being heard all around the globe. This is multi-platform will continue providing trustful content to oppose the Yemeni's media's narrative and our faithfulness to our audience. And with that story, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For teleSUR English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.